Amurudu village was like any other, nestled between two lush hills and surrounded by rivers that glistened in the sun. It was a place of abundance and harmony. Life in the village was simple, yet the people thrived in their closeness to nature and one another. Among them was Ogechi, a young woman whose name was on everyone's lips. Ogechi was no ordinary girl. With her radiant smile and boundless kindness, she was cherished by all. Her reputation extended beyond her personality. Her physical appearance was often a subject of admiration and whispers. Her beauty is like that of a goddess, the villagers would say, though many joke about her big backside, calling it her royal inheritance. Despite this, she was deeply respected for her willingness to help anyone in need. But behind Ogechi's smile lay a hint of sadness. Her mother, who had been her only family, had passed away years earlier, leaving Ogechi with vague memories of her warmth. Though she had adjusted to life without her, Ogechi often found herself missing her mother's soothing voice and words of wisdom. One sunny afternoon, the marketplace buzzed with activity. As Ogechi walked through the stores, greeting everyone warmly, several young men followed her with admiration. Yet something strange happened. Their joyful chatter slowly faded, and they seemed lost in a trance. By the time Ogechi reached the end of the market, the once lively boys appeared lifeless, standing like a statue. Something is wrong, muttered an elder who observed the scene from a distance. Ogechi had no idea that the piece of Amurudu was about to be shattered, and she would be at the center of it all. The next day, whispers spread like wildfire across the village. Did you hear about the boys? One woman asked another as they fetched water. They haven't spoken or eaten since yesterday. Chief Okonkwo, the leader of the village, called a meeting in the village square. His deep voice carried authority as he addressed the crowd. Our young men are the future of Amurutu, he said. Yet something sinister has befallen them. We must find the cause and protect our people. Ogechi stood in the crowd, confusion clouding her face. She had heard of the boy's condition, but could not understand why it was happening. Was it merely a coincidence that it began when they had been near her? The thought made her shiver. As the meeting continued, an elderly woman named Neka whispered something to another woman. Her mother's secret. It could be the calabash, Neka said, glancing towards Ogechi. Though the words were faint, Ogechi caught them. Her heart raced as questions flooded her mind. That evening, Ogechi could not rest. Sitting by the dim light of an oil lamp, she thought of her mother's room, which had remained untouched since her passing. She remembered her mother's peculiar habits, how she would often sit alone in silence, staring at the floor as if something lay beneath it. Could there really be a secret calabash? Ogechi wondered aloud. By midnight, her curiosity had grown unbearable. Grabbing a small spade, she crept into her mother's old room. The wooden floor creaked beneath her feet as she searched for anything unusual. Finally, in a corner, she felt a loose plank. Digging into the earth below, her fingers brushed against something hard. It was a calabash. Ogechi carefully pulled the calabash out of the ground. It was old, with intricate carvings that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. Her hands trembled as she opened it. half, expecting something magical to leap out. Instead, she found a folded note, yellowed with age, tucked inside. Unfolding the paper, Ogechi's heart sank as she read the words scrawled in her mother's handwriting. To protect my daughter, I have accepted a curse that will follow her for as long as it remains unbroken. Forgive me, my child, for this burden. Ogechi's mind raced. What kind of curse was her mother referring to? And how was it connected to the strange behavior of the young men in the village? Her mother had always been secretive, but Ogechi never imagined something like this. Beneath the note was a small figurine of a woman holding a staff. Ogechi recognized it immediately. It was the symbol of Aja, the goddess of justice and balance. The sight of the figurine filled her with a strange mist of fear and hope. Ogechi clutched the note and figurine tightly and decided she could not face this alone. At first light, which is morning, she would speak to Chidi, her closest friend and confidant. If anyone could help her understand this mystery, it was him. The morning sun painted the village in golden hues, but Ogechi felt none of its warmth. She made her way to Chidi's house, clutching the calabash. Chidi was a kind and intelligent young man, known for his quick wit and unshakable loyalty. He greeted Ogechi with a smile that quickly turned into concern when he saw her troubled face. What's wrong, Ogechi? He asked, ushering her inside. In a quiet corner of his home, Ogechi explained everything: the curse, the strange behavior of the young men, and the note from her mother. Chidi listened intently, his expression growing more serious with every word. This isn't something we can ignore, he said when she finished. If the goddess Aja is involved, then we must seek her help. But the shrine of Aja is far and the journey is dangerous. Ogechi nodded. I have no choice, Chidi. This curse is affecting the entire village. I can't let my mother's sacrifice go to waste. Chidi placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You won't face this alone. I will go with you. Together, they began making plans for the journey. Little did they know that the paths ahead would test their courage, friendship, and strength in ways they could never imagine. Before leaving, Ogechi and Chidi visited the village priestess, Mama Ifoma, for guidance. The old woman lived on the outskirts of the village in a small but surrounded by medicinal plants and charms. When Ogechi and Chidi arrived, Mama Ogechi seemed to be expecting them. She directed them to sit down without speaking. Her piercing eyes studied them closely. You have found the calabash, she said finally, her voice low and grave. Ogechi nodded, showing her the figurine and notes. What must I do to break the curse? She asked. Mama Ifoma closed her eyes and muttered an incantation under her breath. After a long silence, she opened her eyes and spoke. The curse was placed by the spirit of jealousy, bound by a pact your mother made. To break it, you must seek Aja's blessings. But he warned, the journey to her shrine is fraught with danger, and Aja's tests are not for the faint in heart. Ogechi swallowed hard. I am ready. Mama Ifoma handed them a pouch filled with protective charms and a small vial of sacred oil. This will shield you from harm, but only if your hearts remain pure. Trust in one another and trust in your own strength. With her blessings, Ogechi and Chidi set off, unaware that the trials ahead would change their lives forever. With their supplies packed and hearts full of determination, Ogechi and Chidi set off for the shrine of Aja. The path ahead was unfamiliar, leading them through dense forests, rocky terrains, and winding rivers. As they walked, Ogechi couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. Do you think we are making a mistake? She asked Chidi. Chidi shook his head. This course has already caused enough harm. Breaking it is the only way to restore peace to the village. Their first challenge came sooner than expected. Just as the sun began to set, they reached the edge of the enchanted forest, a place feared by all in Amurudu. The trees were so thick that they blocked out most of the light, and the air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and unseen dangers. We should make camp here and enter the forest at first light, Chidi suggested. Ogechi agreed, though the thought of spending the night so close to the forest made her uneasy. As they settled down, they heard strange noises coming from the trees, whispers, rustling leaves, and the faint sound of laughter. Despite their fears, Ogechi and Chidi held onto their faith and vowed to face whatever awaits them. When morning came, Ogechi and Chidi stepped into the enchanted forest. Immediately, the air grew colder and the trees seemed to close in around them. I've heard stories about this place, Chidi said, his voice low. They said it tests your greatest fear. Ogechi nodded, clutching the charms Mama Ifoma had given them. We will face it together. As they walked, the forest seemed to come alive. Branches reached out like arms, and shadows danced to the corner of their vision. Suddenly, a thick mist enveloped them, and they were separated. Ogechi, Chidi's voice echoed faintly. Chidi, Ogechi called back, but there was no response. Ogechi felt a wave of panic, but she remembered Mama Ifoma's words, trust in your strength. Closing her eyes, she whispered a prayer and kept moving. Ogechi moved carefully through the mist, her heart pounding. The silence was oppressive, and every step she took seemed to echo louder than the last. Suddenly, she heard a voice, a deep mocking tone that seemed to come from all directions. Why do you struggle, Ogechi? Your mother's curse cannot be undone, the voice taunted. She froze, clutching the figurine of Aja tightly. I am not afraid of you, she shouted, though her voice waved. The mist shifted, forming into a vision of her mother, kneeling, tears streaming down her face. Forgive me, my child, the figure said. I had no choice. Ogechi's knees buckled as guilt and despair washed over her. No, she whispered. This isn't real. She closed her eyes, focusing on the warmth of the figurine in her hands. When she opened her eyes, the vision was gone and the mist began to clear. Ahead, she saw Chidi, stumbling towards her. Relieved flooded her as she ran to him. I thought I lost you, Chidi said, his voice shaky. The forest tested us, Ogechi replied, but we passed. Together, they pressed on, determined to reach the shrine of Aja. As the forest thinned, Ogechi and Chidi found themselves standing before a massive stone gate carved with symbol of justice. A figure emerged, a towering man, clad in golden armor, holding a staff that shimmered with light. I am Obiora, the guardian of Aja's shrine. He declared, "To proceed, you must prove your worthiness." "We are here to lift a curse," Ogechi said, her voice steady despite her fear. Obiora studied them for a moment before nodding. "The trial ahead will test your loyalty, bravery, and wisdom. If you falter, you will be turned away." The guardian struck the ground with his staff, and the gate cracked open, revealing a long, winding path that disappeared into the mountain. "Enter, and may your hearts remain pure." Ogechi and Chidi exchanged a glance before stepping through the gates, their resolve stronger than ever. The path led them to a circular clearing with a single tree in the center. Beneath the tree sat a woman with eyes that glowed like fire. "I am Nkem, the keeper of loyalty," she said. "To proceed, you must prove that you trust one another completely." Ogechi and Chidi were each given a small bowl filled with glowing liquid. "Drink this," Nkem instructed, "and you will see the truth of your bonds." As Ogechi drank, the world around her shifted. She was back in Amurudu, standing in the marketplace. She saw Chidi speaking with a group of villagers, their faces angry. "She's cursed," Chidi said. "It's better if she leaves." Ogechi's heart shattered. Was this what Chidi truly thought of her? Tears welled in her eyes as she turned away. But then another vision appeared. Chidi kneeling before Mama Ifoma, begging for her guidance. "I will do anything to help Ogechi," he said, his voice filled with desperation. When the vision faded, Ogechi looked up to see Chidi staring at her. "Did you see?" he began. She nodded. "I saw your fears and your loyalty." "And I saw yours," Chidi replied. Nkem smiled. "You have passed the trial. Trust in one another. You will need it in the trials ahead." The next trial brought them to a bridge suspended over a chasm so deep that its bottom was shrouded in darkness. On the other side stood a beast, a massive winged creature with glowing red eyes. "To cross, you must face your fears," a voice boomed from the heaven. Ogechi's legs trembled as the beast roared, its wings creating a gust that nearly knocked her over. "How do we defeat it?" she asked. Chidi stepped forward, his eyes fixed on the creature. "I don't think we are meant to fight. We have to show we are not afraid." Together, they stepped onto the bridge. Their hands clasped tightly. The beast roared again, but they kept walking, their steps steady and sure. When they reached the other side, the beast vanished, and the voice spoke again. "You have shown bravery in the face of danger. Proceed." Ogechi and Chidi faced trial after trial, each one testing a different aspect of their character. They solved riddles to prove their wisdom, resisted temptation to show their integrity, and endured physical hardship to demonstrate their endurance. With every trial, Ogechi felt herself growing stronger. She began to understand the depth of her mother's sacrifice and the importance of lifting the curse not just for herself but for the entire village. The final trial brought them to Aja herself. The goddess appeared as a radiant woman, surrounded by light. "You have proven yourself worthy," she said. "But the final choice is yours, Ogechi. You can lift the curse, but it will come at a cost." "What cost?" Ogechi asked, her voice trembling. "You must give up your most cherished dream," Aja replied. Ogechi thought of her future, of the family she longed to have, and of the life she had imagined for herself. But then she thought of her village, of the young men who had lost their joy, and of her mother's sacrifice. I will pay the price, she said, her voice firmed. With a curse lifted, Ogechi and Chidi returned to Amurudu as heroes. The young men recovered, and the village began to thrive once more. Ogechi shared her story, ensuring that her mother's legacy will never be forgotten. Ogechi became a leader in the village, using her experience to guide others. Her bond with Chidi grew stronger, and together they worked to ensure that Amurutu would never face such darkness again. Years later, Ogechi stood at the edge of the village, watching the sun rise over the hills. Though her life had taken an unexpected path, she felt at peace. She had broken the curse, saved her village, and honored her mother's memory. And so, Ogechi became a symbol of hope and resilience. Her story told for generations to come. Thank you, beautiful viewers, for watching. If you know you enjoy watching this interesting folktale, don't forget to hit on that subscribe button if you have not subscribed before. Put on post notification bell to always enable you get notifications anytime I post a new one. Like and share this video. My name is Chinelo.